Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to Exoria. So right now I am pressing out a bunch of steel rods. Actually here's this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be crafting up a bunch of steel scaffolding throughout this episode. I doubt we're going to get the bridge done in one single go. We're at least going to get started on the bridge and at least try to get it spanning this gap. I don't know if we'll work on the bridge this entire episode. And I know there's probably going to be an episode in between this episode whenever it starts and when it finishes. So, just a heads up. I will say I do have a building wand from Astro Sorcery. I'm going to use that to build out the other section. This first section I'm just going to kind of bridge across the steel scaffolding. And I've got to do steel scaffolding, basically beams, and then another layer on top of this. It's going to be a lot of steel scaffolding, to say the least. So our main focus, like I said, I don't think, we got about 7 stacks of steel right now. We're going to get what we can built. Of course, I did make the jetpack. It's over in the charging station. We made the jetpack last episode just to make this a little bit easier, especially for some of the lower sections. And I am planning on building, like pillars and stuff down into the mist. I'm not going to build them probably all the way down, because really we can't see down below the mist. So I'm going to build them maybe 5 blocks below the mist and then stop there. But my primary goal for this, like I said, about maybe halfway through, we might switch gears. We might work on the Embers building a little bit this episode. We'll just see where we get to and how many materials we have. I mean, the bridge is going to be a huge build by the time it's done because, I have to span a huge distance here from one end to the other. I mean, it's going to be massive. And plus, there's going to be a lot of intricacies and stuff like that we have to work on. It's going to be a monster, to say the least. So we're going to get started on it. We're going to cut for a bit, and we'll come back once I get, probably about the time I run out of steel, will be the next time we come out, because I'm going to try to get these 2 beams done, and then maybe it's going to come up like 2 blocks, block, and then another beam that has to go over that. And then I may do a beam in the center section. I'm not for sure just yet, but I will say there's going to be pillars and stuff on the sides and braces that connect across through the middle and stuff like that. So I don't know if I have enough steel. I'm sure actually that I probably don't have enough steel to do all of it right now, but I will probably end up running some frames through, maybe get a little bit of a steel boost, but here soon we'll be able to upgrade into industrial apiaries, which is going to help a lot as well. So I'm not too far from the connecting it over. Not too far from it. But I will say I am planning on building some stuff within the mists, aside from just the pillars going down, and we might get into, I might start working on that stuff a little bit this episode as well. We'll see. But I'm going to cut for a bit. I'm going to work on getting these beams ran across and see basically where we get to with how much steel we have. It's about to the edge of my vision at the moment, which is good. I mean, I could set up the blast furnaces and start running those, but I really don't feel like it's necessary, in truth. So, I doubt I will. So, anyways, I'll be back here in just a bit, and we'll see where we get to. Okay, it's been a little while since I last cut. By the way, this jetpack is awesome. The Simply Jetpacks 2, it seems like the charge goes down a lot slower than it did in, normal Simply Jetpacks. Like, it lasts for a while. I will say I'm kind of missing the boosts I get with the Ashen Cloak, because I still have to watch out for, fall damage and stuff with this. But, if we take a look here, I have been working on the bridge. I actually cut costs a lot right here. You'll notice that instead of having the second layer being steel scaffolding, I actually ran factory blocks. Which are quite a bit cheaper, because 32 for 4 iron, 4 stone, it comes out to be a lot cheaper than going pure steel scaffolding. So I did steel scaffolding on the bottom, and then it kind of comes up. I will do some more steel scaffolding underneath that steel scaffolding, but I decided to bring it up and actually have it going into, these factory blocks, these segmented rusty plates right there. So, whoops, turned off my hover. And anyways, I brought this down, and I went ahead and did, basically brought the factory blocks. Now, right under here, this side is a little bit closer to what it's going to be like at the end. Of course, there's going to be stuff coming underneath the steel scaffolding, but the actual bottom of the bridge is going to be like that. And then actually underneath here, I'm going to have, I'm thinking about doing like a small, like, engineer kind of walkway. So like if repairs were, needed to be done or something like that, there'd be a little walkway to get up underneath the bridge. I'm actually thinking about doing something like that, but we'll see as it goes forward. But and then it comes up and it kind of wraps up to connect up to the top. And then I've brought the grass up, and I'm going to bring the grass down through here and some grass. And I'm actually going to have some water and stuff down through the middle of there, kind of make it a little bit more scenic as you come up, as you go down the bridge, right? Maybe a change that the forest sprites have made to the bridge. Maybe it used to be like a highway or something like that, but now, or like a futuristic highway, but it's overgrown and they kind of keep it. It's not going to be like super overgrown-ish. It's going to be more like kept than, this area here. Maybe flowers and stuff like that is kind of what I'm thinking. So just kind of like a little peaceful walkway. So not super industrialized looking. And I will say that right here, actually starting, I love this hover, but I'm thinking starting like maybe here or maybe here. I did like 5 blocks in between, and then that's where the the scaffolding kind of on this side you can see the scaffolding kind of comes up every 5 blocks. And then I think what I'm going to do is actually right here or right here, I'm actually going to bring it out. When I do the sarsen stone, when I come through with that, I'm going to bring it out, and I'm going to do pillars that go down into the mist. That are kind of like supports down throughout the bridge, like periodically. And then we'll do basically supports connecting between the pillars. So kind of like whenever you see those big bridges and they have those, it almost looks like wires and the big beams connecting is kind of what I'm going to do. Something to that effect. So we're going to have this. This is actually probably one of the bigger bridges I've done. I did do some big bridges in Divine Journey, but I'm hoping something bigger and more impressive without being quite as laggy as the ones in Divine Journey were. So, and I think it's going to look cool with the mist and it kind of going down into that mist. Like I said, I'm not going to build it all the way down. I'm just going to build it like basically out of sight, and then there we go. It's kind of what I'm thinking. So, but anyways, down through here we have, let me actually turn this off. It spans all the way down, and this is all ran, basically. It's all ready to receive the slabs and the walkways and all that stuff. So it has taken a bit. I actually took my tape measure and I measured it, and it's about 240 blocks from one end to the other, which is a pretty good size, I have to say. So luckily I didn't use nearly as much steel scaffolding as I originally thought I was going to use. I will still use more before it's all said and done, but some of the major costs was going to be having to run that second layer of steel scaffolding. And right down here, basically at the end of the scaffolding, if you look like right back there, I've done just steel sheet metal, just so it kind of looks like it's going into there. I'm actually probably going to bring it down or bring something down right there, but we'll see. We'll see as it all comes together. So, but I think it actually looks pretty decent right now. It's starting to look like a bridge somewhat. It almost looks like a bridge that's actually in construction, minus the fact there's no pillars. Normally pillars would be like the first thing that you built when building a bridge. But anyways, it's quite a bit of an undertaking here. So I think it's kind of cool, like right there. And then whenever we start building out in the mist and stuff, as you come across this, and it's going to be kind of green. We're still going to have vines running down it, and then the big supports and all the work, all the work down the side. I think it's going to look pretty good once it's all said and done. And then we'll have, like I said, maybe some vines and stuff hanging here and there. Not quite as overgrown as this, because we're kind of moving away from, as you go across the bridge, like down on that side, it's going to be a bit less overgrown looking than over on this side. Because, this side is going to be the part of the base that's like really heavily overgrown, and then across the bridge is going to be more desert. So it's not going to be as leafy and green, So that is the progress thus far. And I'm going to continue bringing this out. I mean, I've got plenty of dirt. I've got plenty of runestone. Putting the layer over the top of this isn't a problem. Sarsen stone, I've actually got, I think, like 600 Sarsen stone. I don't know that it's going to be enough. Actually, no, it won't be. It won't be. I'll have to go get some more Sarsen stone because, I mean, you're talking about 240-ish blocks. I've got to do layer there, wedges there, and then layers down the middle here. I could cut costs by doing slabs, but I'm probably not going to. Technically, I could do chisels and bits, but I'm not going to do that either. It's going to be about 1,000 Sarsen stone by the time it's done, but it doesn't take very long to harvest that stuff up with Vein Miner, so that's not really a problem. So, anyways, I'll be back here in a bit once I get the layer placed over this. Okay, it's been a little while since the last recording, quite a while, actually. I have built out a base layer. I haven't started putting in flowers or anything like that. If we hop up here, we'll get the jetpack and go up underneath it here in just a second. But we have like the main walkways down. I haven't done the stairs on this side. I was starting to work on them, and it was starting to get late. This has taken a while, for the record. But it was starting to get a little bit late, and I need to start the next recording. So I've been getting some stuff together that we're going to need for, the next recording, or the next episode. But anyways, if we hop over here, you can see that I've ran this down through here. I'm actually going to switch over. The middle section's not done because it's going to be a little bit different here in the very center of this. And these pillars are going to go up as well as down here pretty soon. Here fairly soon anyways. So let me land real quick and let me switch over to the jetpack and we can kind of hop down here. So these are hollow in the center. There's not going to be anything there in the center, I don't think. But if we hop down underneath this, we kind of have a little bit of a walkway started. I'm going to add like access to this area down here. But there's like pillars that run down through here. I did get all these put in. I haven't done all the pillars running off the side. You can see right here it's a little bit bigger. It's a lot of factory blocks. It's not as much steel now as my original plan, and I'm actually kind of happy about switching over because the steel scaffold, you can't actually do chisels and bits or architecture craft with those. So I feel like changing over to the factory blocks was a good decision for that, for like a support pillars, and then we'll kind of have like this area down here is kind of like maintenance walkway, and kind of give access. I don't know if I'm going to do like steps that kind of lead under here. From, maybe right here and on the other side, some steps that come down to this little section, or how I want to do it for sure. But at least we have like a way to get down here, and I will say it's a little bit easier building out this section with somewhat of a walkway to work from. Still a little bit tricky when I get up towards the top of it, but for the most part it's not too terrible. So, and then if we hop down, it just basically runs down along through there like that. I will say these right here, these factory blocks with the plating, these were a pain. Of course, these went on before the grass and the runestone up there, or the dirt. I did space grass blocks out periodically down through there just to make it a little bit quicker to spread, because this area is not going to be chunk loaded, so it's only going to spread grass when it's loaded. But I will say it's been spreading decently fast because I've been down here working since then. But down here, all these platings, it's like 25 per square, and you can't use formation wand or building wand or anything like that to put those on, so it is a little bit of a nuisance to say the least. So, but yeah, this is the progress thus far. But the pillars have to come down, and they're going to kind of come out a little bit to make them like a 5x5, and kind of rounded on the corners. And then as they go up, they're going to get narrow, more and more narrow as they go up. So, and then these little sections here where the Sarsen stone comes out, it does round out a little bit. It does take a bit. It does take a bit to run all this down through here. So I've used a ton of Sarsen stone, a ton of dirt, a ton of iron, and stone. Even though it goes really far, like this is... all these factory blocks right here, I just crafted these up, and this is like some leftovers that I chiseled for exhaust plating because we're going to be using that. Well, you guys will probably already know that we're going to use that, but we are about to use that in the next episode. But all this is just from one stack of iron, one stack of smooth stone. So, I mean, it goes really far. But even still, I've used a lot of iron for all of this. Well, a few stacks, let's say. But I will say the next episode recording, we're going to be using a lot of iron again, so it is what it is, I guess. Or we'll be using a fairly large amount of iron anyways. So, but I was thinking I kind of want this to look like, you know, maybe the underbelly of an actual bridge or something, like a lot of support beams and stuff like that. And I am still going to do like supports spanning between the pillars as well. Different supports, probably the architecture block, you know, kind of like the let's see, the ones I used on those legs to kind of bring that shape down and kind of accent it. I'm going to be doing that on as supports, and I don't know if I'll do any chisels and bits up through there. I'm hoping not, because that stuff does add up on performance, to say the least. But I also got a new step assist totem. You may have noticed the totem in my inventory. That is another step assist, so we could have step assist 2, which will allow us to move up 2 blocks. So let's do the 13 player levels. Okay, I was close. So now we have step assist 2. So if something is 2 blocks tall, I can move up it. It's kind of nice. We still need to make an ability bottle, and we will, but I don't need it right this second, really. So, but anyways, we are about to start the next recording. Like I said, I was just starting to run out of time, and we'll be working over here. So that's why I wanted to get the bridge at least to where it kind of spans it, and then we'll continue work on the bridge, because it is very time consuming, because it's so massive. It's so wide, it's so long, and there's so much stuff that has to go into it. It does take a little while, to say the least. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and record the episode prior to this one, when this one will be coming out. It's very confusing. It really, really is. And then I'll be back whenever I get a bit more work on the bridge done, kind of working on the underbelly and stuff. Okay, it's been a bit since I last cut. It's actually after the recording for last episode. And it's been, I don't know, quite a few hours since I finished that episode. So, anyways, let me grab my jetpack, actually. I have this, there we go. Over here, I have started adding these, like, pillars, right, that kind of come down and basically support the bridge. So these are just more factory blocks. I'm eating through factory blocks. I did come across a really awesome discovery, though. I went back over to my storage base. I was charging up my little mantle, my little Embers mantle, and I happened to step into that storage room, and I didn't realize I hadn't even cleaned out. I had cleaned out some of it, or pulled out some of the stacks, but I hadn't fully cleaned out the gems and steel and stuff like that was stored over there, and I actually had like 2.5 stacks of steel over there, among other things. Of course, emeralds, nether quartz, all that stuff I've got more than I have any use for, in truth. But the steel was a really nice discovery because, of course, I didn't use as much steel in this build as I was originally planning, but I still ate through a lot of steel down to where I was down to, like, you know, just a couple stacks of steel. But I did come across that, which was quite nice. I definitely won't turn down steel. Over here, I did finish placing these out down throughout here from one end to the other. Basically just time consuming. These actually aren't even that expensive. Yeah, got all this laid, and then these pillars, and then in the center, which will be right over here, I've started doing something over here. It's not done. I just basically started, brought up some little pillars that are going to support, like, basically a little balcony platform that comes off right here. And then what I'll probably do is tear up a little bit of this grass, maybe, and make it so you can actually step out onto it, and it'll just kind of overlook the area and kind of be off from the bridge. Because, of course, the bridge is going to have those big supports and beams and stuff, so I wanted an area that you can step off and kind of look down over the mist, because, like I said, there is going to be stuff in the mist. Now, one thing that's really, really interesting, okay, the mist, I never noticed this until I was building these pillars, because I started building them, and basically they just go down below. Yeah, see, there's the end of them, which I got my mask put up right now. I was wearing it, but I take it off because a lot of the times when I go down the mist, I have the ashen cloak, so I don't actually need the mask, so I'm just kind of wasting, for one, I'm wasting the charcoal on it, and then I think actually if you take damage, it does durability, so I'm usually only using it whenever I was building these, and then whenever I build the little buildings there. But one thing I noticed that as I was building these, you know, I built the first couple, and then I was like down here building this one, and I was trying to line it up so that it would be about the same point to make sure that the mist covered it. And I noticed that these were no longer covered by the mist. The mist actually rises and falls throughout the day. Like, it varies. So, like, right now, the mist is up to right there. And, yeah, you can't see the niobium over here. Or maybe it's on the other side. But even still, you wouldn't be able to see the niobium. And whenever the mist goes down at night, you'll be able to see farther down. Like, it'll drop, or it rises at night. No, it drops at night. Okay. Yeah, because it's still way far down there. The mist is dropping at night, which is kind of cool. It almost, like, simulates, like, you know, the ocean or, you know, the tide, basically. It's really, really cool. So, I actually ended up having to add more length to these than I had started with, because, like, all of a sudden I could see the bottoms of them. So I guess I was building them at night and then it was day, but even still, it was just kind of a nice little find. I honestly, like I said, I had tested this mod before, but whenever I test mods, you know, I don't generally build, and it's one of those things I just didn't notice until I was actually, you know, here building. So, kind of a nifty little find. So, and then over here, this actually hasn't changed, so you guys are probably familiar with it, but since we're building, I figured I'll just show it to you. Still need to finish the stairs over there, but I'll get to that between this cut and the next, because that's actually the kind of stuff that I'm going to be working on between cuts. Over here, this is what we built in the last episode. So this hasn't really changed since last episode. It may change, you know, in one of the upcoming cuts, but we'll see. We shall see. So, just a big liquid storage tank. And I want to build out some more of these. I don't know if I'll build them between cuts or not. I'm up to 593,000 millibuckets, because I've been trying to kind of keep an eye on this and keep it running, but I do tend to miss it, you know, and then come back over here in like an hour and a half, 2 hours or something, and be like, oh yeah, I need to move that. But, yeah, that's the progress so far, and actually, it's turning night, so the fog is dropping. Yeah, you'll notice it's actually a decent bit lower than it was. So if we pop like down here, you can see there's the bottom of it now. Whereas before it was like the mist was like right there, and then like you can only see down to about right here. So it's very, very... Oh yeah, look at that. I can actually like... Yeah, actually just since I've been standing here, the mist has dropped. Because I'm no longer taking damage, and this is the same spot that I was standing on. You can actually visually look at it and see that the mist is dropping on it. It's kind of wild because it happens at night, and the mist just, it steadily drops as it turns night. And it seems to drop, I don't exactly know, I haven't watched it enough, but it seems to drop until about midnight, maybe a little bit after, and then it'll start steadily rising again. Or it might be later than midnight. But yeah, see, it stopped right now. So, like, the mist starts below my feet. Whereas just a second ago I was taking damage from it, which is kind of nifty. And then a while back it was like up to there or something. It's kind of interesting, but something to bear in mind whenever you are building, because whatever you build, like, to have it hidden by the mist, you got to build it down a little bit more. So, like, whenever I start building like buildings and stuff, I'm gonna have to build them so that they're still visible when the mist is up, maybe just like the tops. And then as the mist goes down, maybe it'll expose like some windows and stuff. But it's a really, really neat feature. I wish like the oceans and stuff did that. You know, that would be so awesome. Like, that's one thing I love about this mod. Like, there's little things like that that are just so cool. Not to mention, it's like one of my favorite building dimensions ever. But yeah, that's the progress thus far, and I think it looks pretty good. I mean, it's still got a long ways to go, but I think it's starting to look pretty good. It definitely looks impressive, I think, you know, from a distance like that. And I am a lot happier with it, you know, already. Not to mention, I still have more to add to this. But I'm already happier with it than I was with, like, my Divine Journey bridges. So, anyways, I am going to cut for a bit. And what I'm going to be working on this cut is I'm going to try to get the stairs on the other side done. They're going to be just an exact replica of these over here, like identical. And then I'm going to start maybe landscaping a little bit of this grass, maybe, and adding like some, you know, some plant life and stuff like that. And then I may go ahead and start bringing up these pillars. They're going to come up from, you know, right here. So the pillars that come up out of that. They're only going to be one wide. I'm actually getting to the cheaper part of the build. Like, we've gotten through the most expensive part. I did leave this running overnight. kind of to stockpile back up on iron, and I also ran a few iron frames through the iron bees. We're sitting okay. I think I'm about 3 stacks of iron right now, which isn't terrible, but it's a lot less than what I had. I had like, what, 14 stacks or something, but I've definitely killed through iron, but luckily the rest of this build is actually not as expensive, and so it is possible that we may actually finish this build in this episode. Originally I wasn't thinking that we'd be able to, but I was also planning on using a whole lot more steel for this build than I've ended up using. So we'll see where we get to, but maybe it'll all come together by the end of the episode. So, and also I want to get this area landscaped, so you kind of come across the bridge and you're in like an actual... I've got to do landscaping and clutter and a little structure right there, and then the platform for this, and maybe a couple other little things. But I would like to really just hone in on this area and finish it. Then we can focus more on the desert, that area over there. Oh yeah, and there's one thing that I want to add to this clipboard before we cut. I keep forgetting, and I was meaning to do it with you guys, but there is one thing that I would like to add to this. So right over here, which I haven't marked off liquid storage. Technically, we've done a liquid storage, but I'm going to want more of them. I want to add personal house. And I've actually already come up with the design for this, and I'll talk about it whenever we actually get into that build. But a house is something I would really like to get put in, like, soon in this build, because if you guys have watched my other series, you know, like, I'm terrible about building a house for myself. Like, I'm absolutely awful about it. It's like one of the last things I do, if I ever even do it. I end up just having a bed in like a random place. Like right now it's in the storage building. So I would like to get a building, I'd like to get a house actually built soon. And I'm actually planning back in here in this forest. And I have a really cool, what I think is a really cool idea for it. So I would like to get on with that. I would really like to have a place, I would really like a place with this dense forest that's up near the edge of this cliff face. But I don't know. I'm going to have to give it some thought. I may grow some trees over there, or I may just build it out in the middle of this like super dense woods, because I actually really like that idea too. That's probably what I'll go with, honestly. But I have an idea in my head for what I want to build. So, and we'll talk about it, because it's basically it's an inspired build, sort of, kind of like you know, those tanks over there were kind of like inspired sort of by the NASA liquid nitrogen tanks. And this build is also kind of inspired by something I was playing through again not too long ago. But anyways, we'll get into that later. So anyways, I'm going to cut for a bit. I'm going to continue work on the bridge, and then I'll be back here in a bit with an update. Okay, it's been a while since the last recording. Actually, I'd say more just time, not as much in-game time. I did spend a while working on this, but a buddy of mine sent me a beta code for Magic the Gathering Arena, so I got a little bit hooked on that. Anyways, I've been working on this for a bit. I have a drone. Yeah, he's right there. Oh no, it's this one. Hey, he's got a thing, and you too. You don't have a thing, but what did we get? Jump boost 1. I think I've got a jump boost. Let me equip that real quick. I like jump boost, and there we go. So now we got jump boost 2. So actually we jump pretty decently high at the moment. I love those totems. Like, I love them in Sprout, and I love them on here. They're so good. I know it was brought up in the comments, or not in the comments, but on the Discord. Mr. Mann said he found a creative flight one. So if you get lucky enough, you can actually get creative flight through those totems. But chances are it's probably a little bit rare to come across, but something to keep an eye out for. But anyways, I have been working on this, and actually trying to think of what all has been added since the last time you guys saw. I think the main things is I did do the walkway over here. I'll kind of clean this up. I was going to work on the greenery aspect, but I haven't exactly decided, you know, for sure what I'm going to do through there, so I kind of held off on that. Also, the poles running up here, these are new, and if you take a look here, they actually kind of, the center ones, these are the tallest. And these go up to Y149, if I recall. It's been a little while since I put these in. Yeah, Y149, and then I drop them 3 each layer. So they get progressively, as they move out from the center, they get progressively smaller. Now they may end up changing slightly. You know, I may end up making them taller or decreasing the change from pillar to pillar. But I'll figure that all out whenever I start putting in the, the beams and everything. Also, I did railings on this outer section here. I'm not going to do railings on the intersections. I kind of like having this opened. But I decided to put railings on the outer section. So these are all just glowstone railings. These actually craft 10 at a time for these main ones. The corners and the little corner pieces, the corner pieces I think are 16 per, and the corners I think are 4 per. I want to say, yeah, 4 per, and then 8 per. Okay. I was thinking it was 16 for some reason. There's something, actually, I know it, it's the plating that's 16. So anyways, I put those in, and that way we kind of have like a little railing. Plus it kind of glows at night. Of course I have night vision, but I don't plan on keeping that indefinitely. Whenever I get around to making an ability jar, I might pull it off, except for like special occasion kind of thing. Whenever we go out exploring. And then over here I've added these little balcony areas that kind of come out. I mean, it's nothing too crazy, but I don't know, they're nice little vantage points to kind of look out over the mist. Especially whenever we have those beams running through there. I mean, I don't know how obstructed the view is going to be. Probably not all that much. Like, if you're standing here, you're probably not even going to see the beams up there. But I still wanted, like, a little balcony area, you know, that kind of comes out. And the road kind of brings it out right there. And then these, like, little pillars with the floating orbs. I like those floating orbs. I love them. Ever since the first time I used Architecture Craft was in Qantas. And I fell in love with those. I was like, whoa, I love these things. So... anyways, I got that done, and I think that's the main things that I've done as far as building since last episode. I do believe. I did let this run, you know, a couple times overnight, so we've got some materials back up. Not to where they were, but we do have a little bit more iron and steel and stuff like that. So over here, I am planning on putting in, let me actually just grab the jetpack. I'm planning on putting in supports running like right through here between these pillars, as well as supports running up here, and then probably some supports that run across, like you know, right through the middle there is kind of what I'm thinking. So that's going to be the main thing that I'm working on between this cut and next. It's probably going to take a while because I'm going to be doing supports between these, across, between these, and then really I'll probably bring you guys back, and then really I think the only other thing that will be left, we'll be adding in all the like lush greenery aspect. Maybe do some vines, you know, towards that section, kind of hanging down from the bridge, and do, I don't know. I'm debating about if I want to put trees on here or if I don't. Part of me wants to put trees, but part of me doesn't want to put trees because trees I feel like would kind of clutter the view as you're coming through that bridge. So I'm not for sure. If any, I might actually just do like little, I don't know, little trees. Kind of like what I did as some decoration on Sevtech. So basically use, I'll probably use either Architecture Craft, so we have like a rounded base, or I was looking at the Umbra saplings, or I might do the Misty World logs, because I actually quite like these as well. Like, that tree over at our bee temple has never really grown, but I like that style. Like, you know, kind of just a smaller tree, maybe have some stuff hanging off of it like that, because it gets these like little bits that connect to the leaves, and I think those look pretty cool. I may use something like that, but like I said, I'm not for sure. But that's what it looks like at a distance right now. So it's definitely coming together. You can really tell at a distance how it kind of just steadily drops, you know, as you move away from the center of the bridge. So kind of a standard bridge design. I was originally thinking about maybe doing something a little bit more futuristic-y, but I don't know. I did this, and I've actually kind of fallen in love with it. This bridge is actually quite a bit different than my original plan, because my original plan was going to be using a lot more steel, but I'm kind of happy that I didn't go with that, because I wouldn't be able to do the resource costs at the moment for that. I would have not even got anywhere near this far on the bridge had I gone with all steel. So also, one thing I want to mention before I forget, I need to add in additional crystal bees over here. The reason being, I actually went and drained, you know, we had all those crystal shards left over that were in the drawer system. It was like 56 stacks or something like that. I have drained almost all of those since the last cut, because I noticed that these bees were producing so much Sardis, so much black quartz, so much of that stuff that has to be ran through the condenser. Not to mention all the ender pearls that we've been sending and stuff like that, that And we're producing so much of those things that it is eating through our crystal shards. We're not producing nearly enough crystal shards at the moment. Of course, that's partially due to like efficiency and things like that. We're just producing so many of those materials. So I am going to have to up the number of crystal bees, and then as soon as I can, I need to get those in industrial apiaries. So, you know, in the next few episodes, over the course of the next few episodes coming up, we'll be working a lot with power and moving into power and then upgrading bee production, and yeah, we've got a lot of that stuff. Kind of like these trees, actually, is what I'm kind of talking about on the bridge. But maybe have them come out more like those. I need to see if I add leaves to it, if it'll bring out the branches like that on its own. But we'll find out. But yeah, I need to upgrade the crystal bees because otherwise it's going to back up. So I'm thinking maybe 2 more crystal bees or something. So I will try to get those added in if I don't forget. So, I mean, I've got a lot of crystal shards in there, so it's not like it's got to be done now, but it does need to get done soon. So anyways, I'm going to cut for a bit more. I'm going to cut for just a bit more and then work on these supports and all that stuff. By the way, I don't know if you saw my inventory, but I actually did craft up structural cable connectors and some hemp rope coil. These things are not terribly expensive. That craft makes 8. That craft makes 4, and it's just industrial hemp fiber. But these are just decorative, and I was wanting some of these kind of as decorative to kind of have hanging, you know, on the bridge there. Because I think it would be, you know, quite fitting, honestly. So I'm going to add those in, as well as the supports and stuff that span across the bridge. So anyways, I'll be back here in a bit once I get the, you know, all the supports and stuff up, or at least get some supports up, you know. So I'll be back here in a bit. Okay, it has been a bit since the last recording. It's actually Saturday morning. kind of not even really super early Saturday morning. So this episode's supposed to come out on Saturday. Like that this has taken a while. But anyways, I am quote unquote finished. That's not to say this is tentatively finished. I may add some other small things as time goes on. I'm also planning on, since I plan on doing a world upload for this episode, I am planning on, after this episode, I didn't want to do it right before the world upload, but I am planning on adding maybe DecoCraft and maybe fairy lights to the pack, you know, right after this episode. Both of which would be great additions for our building, and fairy lights would actually be really nice on here. I actually considered using fairy lights for the structure cables, but then I decided against it because I actually quite like the way these look. Now I ended up changing over from the hemp rope to steel rope. It's just a decorative rope. It's 4 little steel wires for 4 of them. So not terribly expensive. You know, once you have the metal press, it wasn't terrible. Honestly, making these was probably worse because I ended up eating through a ton of structural cable connectors. And honestly, out here isn't done. The middle of the bridge is done. This stuff out here has to be cleaned up, and that actually might change slightly. I don't know. So over here we have a ton of structural cables. I actually decided to go with like a structural cable type design, and I actually quite like the way that it turned out, especially from a distance. It looks I'm really happy with it. Actually a lot more happy with it than the ones that I had on Divine Journey, because those bridges were just so narrow and so tall, and I don't know, this one feels more realistic to me, I think. But anyways, I have done a bit of greenery. I did discover that the branches will not connect out. It has to be a naturally growing tree to get like the little thin branches, unfortunately, but that's fine because I ended up going with this. This is prickly tree needles and prickly tree branches, because I actually had some of these that I had gathered on accident with the axe pickful, I think it was. Silk touched them one time on accident, so I had quite a bit of those. I did have to get a few more, but I ran those down through here, and then I also did mystical flowers. So if you take the petals, you put them on the ground, you bone mill them, you know, you get these tall flowers, and then of course these make 4 petals, so you can kind of, it's pretty easy to spread this. I started with like 1 flower and just spread it out. This is like these 8 colors here. I didn't do all 16 colors. I just did kind of the brighter colors. You know, I didn't want black, gray, light gray, brown. Some like green and stuff I could have used, but I think there's enough green here with the grass, so I kind of went with just more of like a vibrant color look on these. And I didn't do it, you know, straight through. I left big, you know, open spots and stuff like that down through here. But kind of to contrast this middle section as you come through, I think it looks nice. Plus they put off that little glimmer effect, which I do quite like. Also, I did do these little beams here. These are architecture blocks, and then beams across that kind of rise with the shape of the bridge. So I will say these cables, you'll notice they kind of disappear when you turn your screen sometimes. Sometimes, I don't know, they're kind of weird to look at like that, but I don't know. I still quite like the way it looks. So, but anyways, lots of structure cables, lots of supports kind of running through here. And it actually, I feel like it kind of makes like a peaceful walk down here. Like this is like our peace walk. So you can just kind of like go through here and relax. In the center, I was debating on what to put here for right now. I just put a fountain. I think it looks all right. Just kind of between the two balconies, and it kind of adds like it kind of breaks up, you know, just the flowers kind of running through here, and really kind of signifies like this is the center of the bridge. The bridge, not bridge. The center of the bridge, so we can kind of look out over here, and there's the Misty World. And then, of course, whenever I start actually building like the buildings and stuff down there, and possibly some other things that I have in mind, we'll see. Just depends on how crazy I want to get with it. And then if we pop out, let's see, my jetpack is in the charger. Let me go grab that real quick. Actually, we'll start over here. I did do some vines. You'll notice they don't go all the way back. They just go a little ways out. This side is 3 posts back, and I actually have a piece of string to stop them from spreading past this point. And then on the other side, it goes out 4 posts. So it goes out a little bit farther on this side, but I figure we have all these vines, which I kind of want to trim these up a little bit. I think they're just a little bit dense. Like, that's like super vines, but I've got to do a bunch of vine trimming and stuff whenever I go through and clean up this area, because over there, there's some places I don't want the vines growing because they kind of grow in like a weird way. But yeah, right here the vines are 4 deep, or 4 pillars long. That was actually one of the last things that I did there. And then if we pop down here, we've actually got these little beams that kind of run all the way through, down through the bridge. And I did add these little steps. So you can kind of walk up underneath here, and I will probably do something over here, but I haven't decided. I've spent so long on this bridge, honestly. But you can walk up under here and kind of enter this little area. So, and there's railings down through here. I did do the railings that run kind of underneath here for, you know, bridge repairing and stuff like that. So, and if we grab our jetpack and equip it and go invisible, we can hover out through here and take a look at all this. So this is what it looks like so far, and structural cables everywhere. These took a while to run, and like at first I had started with the hemp rope and I didn't like it, and then like I ended up changing a lot of the layout and stuff and doing the X patterns, and these took a while. They actually took a while because I changed my mind so many times on those, to be honest. So that is what we've got down through here. Also over here, you'll notice I did these little beams. They connect down into little architecture blocks that kind of run through there, just so they weren't like connecting into nothing, you know. And then over here we have another little staircase. Of course, I don't have like the little pathways that lead over to them or anything. I'm just basically working on the bridge at the moment. And if we head down here, this side's pretty much identical. I did have to trim up some of the rocks to make it feel a little bit more natural, but it comes down to here. So, and then you can kind of cross and go down whichever side, but you can also cross through the middle here. So that's pretty much what I've done so far. Like I said, I'm going to add fairy lights and maybe add some like little stringing lights that kind of run up from one side of the pillar to the next. But I wanted to wait until after the world upload for that, just because I didn't want to stick, you know, another mod or two in right before the world upload. But I actually quite like this. I quite like it because it's very vibrant, very colorful. I may end up adding some more vines. I'm going to let those grow. I'm going to see, you know, after they have some time to spread and stuff, I'm going to see kind of where it's at. But as far as, you know, a bridge that, you know, we just got put in and everything, I'm pretty happy with it. Like I said, I'm a lot happier with it than the ones on Divine Journey. I mean, the ones on Divine Journey were okay, but I was trying to push it a little bit with this bridge and make it look a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more realistic, a little bit more natural. And I have something to tell you guys about here in just a second. So, if we come out here, this is what it looks like from a distance at night. I think once we hit it with the fairy lights, though, and actually have like fairy light strings kind of running through this, because I do have some ideas for those that I would like to do, but I think it's going to look really, really nice. Honestly, whenever I was building this, I was thinking, like, man, I wish I had, like, the Ender IO little lanterns, right? I am going to look at maybe adding some kind of lighting mod, because that's one thing. This pack doesn't really have much as far as lighting. There's, like, the Bibliocraft lighting, and then there's, like, glowstone and, you know, of course, sea lanterns and stuff like that. But not a whole lot in terms of lighting. And architecture craft, I guess. I've been using a lot of architecture craft as lighting, but I don't really, you know, consider it a lighting mod, per se. But anyways, I hope you guys like it. That is the culmination of a lot of work. A whole lot of work. Okay, so there's another thing that I want to talk about briefly. Okay, so between episodes, or between cuts, and actually you guys saw last cut, I killed a monster, one of the rare monsters that had the little totems in it. And actually between cuts, I got decently lucky and got like 2 or 3 totems. I can't remember. And let me pull out right here. I have a nausea and a fire resistance. Now I actually had more nauseas. I actually had 3 nauseas. And I was playing around with it because if you take 4 totems and you craft these together, so if I take like these 4, I can turn it into a luck totem. Okay, so you can craft these and get like other totems. And I actually had, I can't remember what totems it was. I think it's random, you know, depending on, I think it changes each time like you load up the pack or start the pack or something. It's not a set in stone recipe, it's just kind of randomized. But I actually had 4 of these that crafted together to make flight. And I was like, whoa, like I was super excited about it. And then I happened to check them on, I put 4 others together and I was checking to see what they made. And I accidentally clicked it and picked it up and I got absorption. Which, I mean, isn't bad. I was looking at it and I put the 4 in there and then I clicked here instead of over here and I pulled it out and I was like, oh my gosh, because I lost my flight. I could have had flight right now. But I pulled it out and got absorption. That's fine. I just made this jetpack. I'm not, you know, I would have taken flight, but I can live without it. It's not a big deal. The jetpack, honestly, this jetpack is pretty nice, so it works fine. But I did get an absorption and another jump boost totem. And then I have a fire resistance and nausea, which I'm capped on fire resistance. So I'm just going to put these away. I want to say the ones that crafted together, that it was like, I want to say it was jump boost, fire resistance, nausea, weakness, I think, or something like that was what gave me what I could have got creative flight from, or something like that. But then I ended up crafting up nausea, weakness, and something else and got the absorption. So, whoops. But I'll take absorption. Absorption's actually a really good skill. But before we can really equip that, which actually we can go ahead and equip the jump boost. I'll have jump boost 3, which isn't bad. So right now we have fire resistance, which makes us immune to fire. Haste, which is nice. Invisibility, which I can do without. Jump boost 3. And then we have night vision, step assist. I think I would like to get rid of the invisibility and trade it out for absorption at the moment. Now right now, as far as our jump boost goes, can I jump up here? Yes, I can. Awesome. That's going to make life so much easier. I can actually jump a decent ways. It's not too bad. But I would like to get an ability bottle so that I can actually start pulling off abilities and stuff like that. And it's just gold, Alph Glass, and Mana Pylon. And Alph Glass in this pack is actually crafted. So glass, Mana Quartz, and Mana Powder to get that. By the way, Mana Powder. I remember being able to, Mana Steel, Mana Diamond. So I'm going to need, what, 3 gold, a diamond, 2 steel, and then 3 glass, 3 quartz, 3 gunpowder, redstone, glowstone, all these different types that I can do it with. I'm probably going to go with redstone, I think, because I have a ton of that. Okay, I'm going to warp over to the storage room, because I've still got all my Botania stuff set up over here. We're still kind of straddling 2 bases. Hopefully not for too much longer. It's just, I'm not going to move this stuff until I can actually build out the place that I want for it, you know. So glass, it was just standard glass. It wasn't mana glass. No, it's just regular glass. Okay, interesting. Mana diamond, mana steel, and then grab this, that, get Alph glass, like that. We got our Alph glass flasks, and then we need the mana pylon, and then all we have to do is just throw these 3 things onto there. And I wanted to do this on camera because we have a quest for this. So, and actually, by the way, this is super helpful. It is extremely helpful. I actually got 31 stacks in there, almost 32 stacks, and it actually was, but I pulled some out It was capped. But anyways, I've been using this, and it's so handy. It has helped me out so much. Anyways, let me go ahead and get some living rock, because I'm either out of it or I've misplaced it or something, which I tend to misplace things all the time, so I wouldn't put it past me. Okay, so there is our living rock, and there we go. Ability bottle. Aha. And I'm just going to toss that into there. It'd be nice to have it available anyways. And then what we can do is we can open this thing up and we can take invisibility and we can pull this off, and it actually gives us back our levels. So, you know, in Sprout we actually use this for XP storage, kind of, sort of, early on there. But and then we can add in our absorption. We need 22 player levels for this. Which really, I don't mind getting this absorption. I mean, sure, flight would be really nice, but absorption, I mean, that's absorption hearts. That's pretty powerful. It's actually a really good one, because some of the other ones, I'm glad I didn't click on, like, hunger. And some of those, I did see resistance and regeneration. I did see those two as well, with combinations of those little ability totems. So you can craft some really good totems, just kind of play around with it. And honestly, I'm probably going to start stockpiling, unless it's something I really, really want. I may start stockpiling these little totems and try to get some really good ones out of it. But anyways, we can equip that, pow, and now we get absorption hearts. There we go, absorption, and we got 2 hearts of absorption. Basically, they're randomly toggling on and off, it seems like. So, but you can see that invisibility is stored within our ability bottle. So if I wanted to, I can actually just pull off, like, fire resistance. There we go, we no longer have it, and then I can re-equip it. You don't lose any XP or anything like that when you're using the ability bottle. Now, we do have a quest for that. It's right here, experience, tank, open box tank, and then ability bottle, which we'll get into that stuff here soon, which I actually have crafted enchantment tables, but it doesn't count it until, this was before we actually unlocked that quest, so, because I had to craft them for the persistent bits loaders. But we are going to start getting into enchanting before too long, because that's definitely something that would be nice to get into. Put all this stuff away, because I really don't need it at the moment, and all this stuff is kind of leftover junk, and yeah. But I am going to, like, between episodes, I'm going to fly around a little bit and just, like, hunt mobs, because I've noticed that in the Misty World, I mean, the totems are still fairly uncommon, but if you just make, like, a round of, like, an island, and then, you know, move over to the next island, and then the next island, and then come back to the first island, you can actually find a decent amount of those little ability bottles. Because I did make a pass, and I found, like 2 at one point. So, because I'm sure you noticed I have like haste and stuff. I don't think I popped all those on camera. A lot of times I just pop them, you know, if it's not anything really exciting or new. But, yeah, I do know that the creative flight modifier is purple rarity. So you saw, like, the absorption is blue, and then there's also, like, there's white rarities, yellow, blue, purple, and I think that's the only 4 that there are. So, and I think the rarity scale goes white, yellow, blue, purple, in that order. And purple being the rarest. So, I mean, creative flight is going to be a fairly uncommon find. But, or maybe, I think yellow is after white, but I'm not for sure. Not 100% sure, but I think that's all of them. I mean, Sprout, it worked a little bit differently because you didn't get ability totems off of mobs. And that's actually the only other pack that comes to mind. There might have been one other pack, maybe, that had ability totems that I played a bit back. I can't remember, but Sprout, I think, was the first time that I ran into ability totems. And they were, like, stored inside of structures on there. So they worked a little bit differently, but anyways, but yeah, you can combine those together, and you can get, it seems to be pretty much anything, and it doesn't seem to matter the rarity either. I don't think. I mean, I don't think if you put more of a certain rarity that you're going to get a higher chance, but I don't know for sure. Basically, just stick all the combinations together and see what you come out with. Now, I do know if it's the same type of totem, like if it's nausea. Like, I had 3 nauseas, and if I switched out the nausea totems, it didn't change the outcome. But if I had, 2 nausea or 3 nausea compared to 1 nausea, it did change the outcome. So, just a heads up. So it's not totem based, it's totem effect based, basically. Yeah, it seems like those absorption hearts just like refresh every so often and pop on and off. See, a lot of these totems you couldn't get in Sprout, like Creative Flight and Absorption and stuff. Those weren't allowed. You know, you couldn't get those, but in this pack you can. So you can get like really OP, honestly, if you had like Resistance, Absorption, Regeneration, Flight. You know, some of those like really rare ones, you could be pretty powerful because they all have like multiple levels for the most part. So, because like Absorption goes up to like Absorption 5, which is quite nice. But anyways, I know it's not quite wrapping up point, I know, but it's fairly close. And honestly, I've done what I came to do. And like I said, it's already the morning of when I need to be posting this video. So I am going to wrap up this episode here. I mean, this bridge took absolutely forever, but I hope you guys like it. I'm pretty happy with it. This was actually, I think, our first build that actually spanned, like I had to do another recording between it. So, I mean, this build took a while. I did get sidetracked a little bit with magic, but it really took a while. But I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys enjoy it. And it'll be there for the world upload. So the world upload will be alongside this episode. I'll put a link in the description as well as links for Weirding Gadgets and Architecture Craft. You know, I'll put those down there. Because if you are downloading the pack, you will definitely need Architecture Craft. Otherwise, 90% of the builds will be missing. But also, Weirding Gadgets, technically you could load the pack without it. But those are the chunk loaders that I'm using because the persistent bits chunk loaders are just not any good, really. I don't mind adding stuff to the pack if it's not game breaking. And really, when you have a broken chunk loader, it's supposed to be working. I don't mind changing that out for something. Plus, the Weird and Gadget ones are a lot more expensive anyway, so kind of works out. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out. And I hope to see you guys next time. Next episode, we are going to continue on working up towards power. We'll probably start working into a bit of forestry, I think, next episode. Not bees, but forestry stuff. Either that or thermal stuff. I don't know which one just yet. But we're going to start our first power sources probably next episode. Because they're both the power sources that we're going to be going towards are both liquid based. So this weekend I've got to build another liquid tank, maybe 2 or 3, ideally 3. They don't have to be full scale 200 tanks and all that. The lava one's not even 200 tanks at the moment, but I am going to work on that, and I'm also going to work on finishing out. That is one thing I want to work on, is finishing up this area over here for the most part. I mean, I'm going to hit it with some deco craft, and then I'm also going to go through and add that dense overgrowth, you know, more bamboo trees and stuff in this little area. So that will be something that I'm going to be working on. And then I may go ahead and build out a little structure for that, because that needs to get done. I'm not for sure. This little area over here, I am going to build something. I'm just not 100% sure. I've got a few ideas, but I'm not 100% sure which one I'm going to go with. So I don't know that we'll get to that this weekend. But I want to start really kind of cleaning up this area, and that way I can move away from this area without thinking, well, I've got to come back there and finish up this, because then I know I'll never get around to it. So, also, one thing we need to do real quick, and then we'll end out. First bridge, mark that off, because that's done. I mean, like I said, it's tentative. I may add some fairy lights and stuff like that, but it's all minor additions. The bridge itself, the bulk of the bridge is done. I'm done with it. I'm turning my back on that bridge, because that thing took my soul, honestly, to build that thing. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope to see you guys next time. Also, just a heads up, sometime next week, I think we're supposed to be signing the papers early next week, but it could be later next week, but sometime next week, hopefully sooner rather than later, we should be signing the papers on the house, and we should start moving. So I'll update you guys, you know, on the Discord and then in episodes as to what's going on there. I do plan on still putting out videos. It just, you know, we'll see how hectic it gets and how crazy it gets, because I'm going to be having to move and set up the internet there and all that stuff, so we'll see how it goes. But just a heads up, that is soon approaching, okay? So anyways, I hope to see you guys next time. Until then, as always, do take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time.